Hi, my name's Leanne and I'm going to take you through a sample 45-minute yoga flow sequence. We'll start this one in what we call a cross-legged easy seat. Now, as you reach your cross-legged position, naturally you'll have one dominant leg crossed over the other, but we're going to do the opposite today. So your non-dominant leg crosses over the dominant one. It's going to feel a little clunky, but it's only in the interest of balancing out the hips, and we'll change position shortly after. So cross-legged easy seat. As ever, we begin with some grounding, just to bring your participants into the present moment. I would encourage them here to close their eyes or lower their gaze if that's not comfortable. And then either rest the tops of the hands over the knees or turn your palms up. Again, whichever they prefer. As a grounding exercise in easy seat, I'm going to ask you to focus on the parts of your body that are connected to the ground. Depending on how you're sitting, it's going to be across your hips, maybe a bit of the thighs, feet, maybe some of the ankles, maybe some of the lower leg. As best you can, try and let your knees relax. They might not feel 100% comfortable just yet. It might feel a little alien because they're crossed the wrong way around. But we won't be here for long. Continuing to work through the front of the body. Draw the belly button in and up so you're sitting tall with a little bit of firmness through your midsection. Notice the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. And we're going to be breathing in and out through our nose. It's grounding. It's a good point of focus, and it allows you to have something to center your thoughts when maybe you feel you're working a little harder. Some of the poses require some concentration, so when I remind you to breathe, I'm doing so respectfully because it's easy to catch your breath or hold your breath if you are working hard. Rising up through the body, imagine you're broadening your collarbone. Maybe you feel the chin lift slightly as you sit tall. So the front of the body, energetically and physically, feels like it's lifting. And as we work through the back of the body, we're going to ground down. So lengthen the back of the neck, and this might encourage you to drop the chin and drop the shoulders slightly. Imagine your elbows are being drawn low, softness through the arms. Returning to that bit of firmness through the torso, and then being grounded down into your hip space and on your mat. You can keep your eyes closed for a moment longer or flicker them open. We're going to reach the hands up and wide, breathing in as you go. Connect your palms, breathe out and lower. Let's go again. Reach wide, reach high, breathe in. And then you're going to take a hold of your right wrist and gently lean yourself over towards the left. Lifting your right elbow as you take a side body stretch. Breathe in, lift up, swap your wrists around. Lean over towards the opposite side, lifting the left elbow. Good, well done. Reach up, palms together, breathe out, lower down. Fantastic. I'm going to turn sideways on, and you're now going to cross your legs in their natural position. So unfold and recross, super quick. Then with your hands lightly on your knees, you're going to take a couple of rounds of seated cat and cow. So we'll allow the belly to come forward, chest comes forward, elbows bend and tuck tight to your body. Lift the collarbone, lift the chin, breathe in. And then as you tuck your chin to your chest, breathe out, allow your back to roll behind you. You'll roll over your hips, arms will lengthen, and you're just going to hold your knees for balance and support. Let's go again. Breathe in, ribs come forward, chest lifts, chin lifts, arch in the back. And breathe out, chin to chest, roll over the hips, feel the back round as you squeeze front of the ribs to the front of the hips. One more time, sit a little taller. Lifting the chin, snuggle the elbows tight into your body. And breathe out. Send the back behind you, tuck chin into chest, leaning back behind you, should feel a stretch through the back. And then we're going to sit tall, sweep the knees underneath you, and come to a kneeling position. You're going to have your thighs connected, so your knees and ankles are close together, sitting upright with shoulders over the hips. Place your left hand behind your feet, and your right hand is going to sweep up and over as you lift your hips for half camel. We're taking a look to the side for this one. Breathe out, release. Let's go again. Breathe in, lift. See if the hips come a little higher. Maybe they can start to push forward towards your knees. Breathe out, release. And one more time. Inhale, lift. Use your glutes. Lift your hips. Maybe you look behind you towards your fingers. And gently lower down. Good, well done. Change the hands around. Right hand just behind your feet. Left hand reaches up and across as you lift your hips, front body stretch. Breathe out, lower. And again, breathe in, lift, use your glutes. Try and lift your hips a little higher and over your knees. And breathe out. One last time, breathe in, lift. Maybe this time you're looking up and towards your left fingers as you're using your glutes. And breathe out, lower. Awesome. Make your way into tabletop. So shoulders over your hands, hands are shoulder distance apart. Step your knees back. And we've got the knees underneath our hip space. We're going to take a couple of body circles. So just rolling over your wrists and let the wrist dictate how big this movement is. We spend a bit of time with pressure on our hands. So we just want to make sure that they're familiar with this body weight. Changing direction. Maybe you make a figure of 8. Maybe you're just going one way and then the other. And then pause to find stillness, distributing the weight evenly through your hands. Taking your right knee, bend it, lift it up behind you, and then we're going to go knee circles. Whatever direction comes first. Take up as much space with your knee as you can, rolling the hips, using a big rotation through the knee. And then change direction, so come back the opposite way. Muscles around the hips working to control the movement as you begin to mobilize your hips. One more time. Good, well done. Bring the knee down towards the ground and we'll swap. Left leg up. You can flex the foot or point the toe. Let's take a knee circle on the left side. Now the hip joint might start talking to you. You might release a couple of cracks and creaks, that's okay. And when you've done 3 this way, we'll change direction, 3 in the opposite way. Taking up as much space with the knee as you can. Drawing the belly button in, being mindful that you're not dropping your lower back. And then we'll release back down. Well done. If you need to at this stage, sit back, give a little shake off of the wrists, rotate them, flick them, wriggle, whatever you need. And then we're going to walk our way into plank. So shoulders again over the wrists, step 1 foot back at a time, finding your balance, lift out through the shoulders, and then pike the hips up and back, and we'll find ourselves in downward facing dog. So upside down V, hands ahead, heels low, hips high, aiming to straighten the legs and lower the heels, but take a bend if you need to, and know that it's okay that the feet lift if that's an option for you. We'll take a little walk. We'll come up lightly onto one set of toes as we drop the opposite heel and swap. So hopefully this gives a nice stretch through the back of the legs. You're still thinking about lifting the hips. You can do the single leg or perhaps double. Bend both, straighten both. Okay, from downward facing dog, lightly kick the right leg up behind you. And then you're going to bring your right knee to your right wrist as your shoulders roll into plank. Brush the knee off the ground, breathe in, kick it back. This time right knee to right tricep, so it's a little higher. Notice how the body has to work, abdominal muscles fired up. Kick it back. This time right knee to your nose, lift up high on your left toes, the body is high, and then you're going to take a step forward and through, allowing the hips to lower down as we come into our low lunge. You have an option here to keep the back knee on the ground, or for something a little softer, release it and release the toes. With your left hand on the inside of your right foot, turn your shoulder towards your knee and then lift your right hand up. Taking a breath in as you extend your fingertips. And then breathe out, lower the right hand down. Tuck your back toes, straighten your back leg if you weren't already there. Step back to plank, and then lift the hips up and back. Lower your heels and take another little walk. So lightly up onto one set of toes as you extend and lower the heel on the opposite side. Remember, you can do this single legs, or if you prefer, double. At the same time, relax the upper body as best you can, distributing the weight evenly through your hands, head, neck and shoulders, long and relaxed. And then we'll lightly kick the left leg up and back behind us. Left knee to your left wrist as you ripple forwards to plank. Breathe in, send your left leg back. It's coming to your tricep this time, a little higher. Squeeze the knee up, use your abdominal muscles. Last time, send the left leg back. Knee to nose, lift up high on your right toes, lift, lift, lift. And then you're going to step forward and through. Same option here, you can keep your back leg straight, or if you prefer, lower it and release the toes. You're looking forward into your low lunge. Right hand down, turn your chest towards your knee, extend your left hand up and breathe in as you twist. On your out breath, release your hands down, tuck your back toes, straighten your back legs, step back for plank, and then up again, downward facing dog. Let's take a rest in child's pose. The knees come wide into the mat, Big toes come to touch, and then soften your body through your knees, relax off the hands, and breathe. So know that you have plenty of options available to you. Maybe you take a sip of water now, and you can rest in child's pose at any point. You've got some options coming up where you have to choose the direction that you're going to go in, and as we work through the main section of the flow, we're going to begin to layer up. You'll see some poses repeated, and then extra poses added to lengthen the time that we complete our flow for. We start and end each one in downward facing dog. We're going to build a little bit of heat within the muscles now. So, to get there, step your hands forward, lift your heels, lift your hips and lower your heels down. Now downward facing dog, seize your hips high, spreading your weight through your hands and feet, and then we'll take our right leg, lifting it up and back. Square hips, square shoulders, you can flex your foot or point your toes. Right knee to chest, look between your hands, step forward and through. Now if one big step doesn't make it, you can always take lots of little steps, or even use your hand to draw your foot forward. Give it as much help as it needs. Lowering the hips down as you look forward and ahead. We're going to take a breath in and rise up for high lunge. Now in this position, the shoulders are facing the front, as are your hips, so watch out for the back legs swinging out. We're going to cover a slightly different pose in a moment. So you should feel strength in your front leg, which is bent, or a little straighter if you need it. If you can come down low, that's awesome. Now keep your hips and shoulders square, lower your back heel, slight external rotation into warrior one. So we're not turning out just yet, we're still facing the front. Long arms, still breathing. Now let's pivot on the back toes again, come back to high lunge. And you should feel your internal rotation as your hips come square again. Reach forward, reach down, and step yourself back into plank. From here, release the knees, release the toes. Elbows bend as they tuck tight to your body. Look forward, lower down, one long line. Extending your toes behind you, push the ground away, and curl up. Now, baby cobra has bent arms, or cobra pose has straighter arms. Just watch that you're not dropping your weight through your shoulders and propping your body weight up on straight arms. A little bit of softness, elbows tucked, chest draws forward, so you're here deliberately. Breathe out and lower, down to the mat. Tuck your toes. As you bend your knees, you're going to straighten your arms, tabletop, and then lift your hips, lower your heels, downward facing dog. Same sequence on the left side. Left leg extends behind you as you breathe in, square hips, square shoulders, leg high. Breathe out, knee to nose, step forward and through. One big step, lots of little steps, or help your foot along. As you allow the hips to lower, in line with your front knee, take a breath in and lift, high lunge. Find your balance. Square hips, square shoulders, tuck your tailbone, engage your right glute. So the slightest rotation, right heel to the mat, left knee presses out, warrior one. Still breathing, shoulders still relaxed, looking forward and ahead of you. Then we're going to come back onto our right toes, square your hips, knock them into position, reach forward, reach down, land your palms, step back plank, release the knees again, soften your toes, tuck your elbows, breathe out and gently lower. Down we go, landing lightly, good. Extend your legs, flat palms, lift up as you breathe in, tucking your elbows in towards your body, slight extension of the neck, breathe out to lower. Tuck the toes again, straighten your arms as you bend your legs, tabletop, and lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Excellent. First round of the flow done. If you need a pause, child's pose, or stay here, have a sip of water, catch your breath, gather your thoughts, and now get ready for the second section. So we're going to add 2 extra poses onto the end of this one. Starting again with the right leg, lift it up and back. This time bend your right knee as you lift your toes a little higher, almost like a scorpion's tail, and then try and anchor your left heel back to the mat. Should give an interesting deep stretch in your left hamstring. Right knee to nose, look between your hands, step forward and through. Allow the hips to lower. Breathe in and lift. High lunge. Let's come back through warrior one. So allow the back heel to drop, press out on your right knee. And then as your arms come horizontal, turn to the left. Warrior two. Long arms, relax shoulders, draw the pinky fingers behind you. Shoulders in line with your hips. Squeezing front to back so you're not dropping into your lower back. And again, bending through the front knee or lift out if you need to. A little stronger. From warrior two, we're going to take it into a reverse warrior. We'll reach forward, flip the right palm and lift it up towards the ceiling, sideways lean over your back leg. Looking sideways on or on the inside of your right elbow, turning your chest towards the sky, softness through your left arm so you're not propping your weight up. Keep breathing in this position, stretch through the right side of the body, strong in the left, leg still working. Then we'll breathe in, lift up, warrior two, horizontal arms. Keep your back foot where it is, face the front, lift your hands up, warrior one. Pivot onto your back toes, warrior two, high lunge. Reach forward, reach down, land your palms, step back plank. And now you have the option to stay on your toes. If you take that, rock forwards. Then bend your elbows to lower down. Otherwise, come onto the knees, still landing lightly. Release the toes, breathe in and curl up for Cobra or baby Cobra. Imagine you're drawing your wrists towards your hips and your hips forwards towards your wrists. Breathe out and lower. Down we go. Toes tucked. Now we came through bent knees last time and you're welcome to do this again. Or if you're feeling a little stronger, straight legs to lift through plank. Then the hips come high, heels low, downward facing dog. In this next section of the flow, I'm going to turn my back on you briefly. Left leg, sweep it up and back behind you, taking a bend through the knee, and then lifting the toes up even higher if you can. Anchor through the right heel. Hamstring stretch, right side. Left knee to the nose, rock forward to plank. Step forward and through. Take a moment to look forward as your hips lower. Find your breath and lift. Inhale, high lunge. Back heel lowers, opening up the back foot into warrior one. And then turn the chest and shoulders to follow. Warrior two. Press out on the left knee so that it doesn't start to fall inwards towards you. Long arms, relax shoulders, tuck tailbone, engage core. Reach forward, breathe in, flip the left palm, lift it up. Sideways lean over your back leg. Left elbow high, lifting the chest towards the ceiling, either looking sideways on or up ahead if balance is with you. Left knee still bent as much as you can. And then we'll come upright into warrior two. Lift the arms, face the front, keep the back foot where it is. Warrior one. Pivot on your back toes. High lunge. Reach forward, reach down, and land your palms. Well done. Step back plank. And again, knees or toes is an option. Rock forward if you're on your toes. Slowly lower down. Chest and hips land at the same time. Release the toes, breathe in, curl up. Cobra pose. Breathe out and lower. Tuck your toes, bent legs or straight, your choice. Push the ground away, tabletop or plank, and then lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Another good chance for a pause, a water break, chance for you to gather your thoughts and catch your breath. Rest in child's pose or hold downward facing dog. You've got one more round to go. At the end of this flow, I'm going to give you some options. Whatever you choose on the right side, try and replicate on the left. You've got strength or stretch or even a foundational section to look at. Right leg, lift it up and back as you breathe in. Bend the knee, bring the heel towards your hip. So allow your right knee to lift this time. Anchor down through your left heel and take your left shoulder towards your left toes. Knee to nose, roll forward to plank. Step through when you're ready, find your balance. Look ahead, breathe in and lift, high lunge. We break it down again, back heel lowers, warrior one, hips open. Turn it to the side, warrior two. Good, nice. Reach forward, breathe in, flip your palm, lift your right hand up and over. Sideways lean over the left leg, lifting your chest and shoulders towards the ceiling. Good, well done. Come back to warrior two. Maintaining the bend in your front knee, you're going to flip your palm again and bring your forearm to rest just above the knee as your left arm extends in a diagonal line. So you've got one long line from your left heel all the way up through the body to your left fingers, but check that right shoulder. Watch that you're not dropping your weight into it. Push the elbow into the knee, strong in the body, so you have space between your ear and your shoulder. Okay, here are your choices. You can stay here. This is your foundation. Extended side angle. You're already having a little bit of a stretch and strength work. If flexibility is your focus, you can lower your hand down alongside your foot. Maybe reach a little further with a hand. But watch that this doesn't encourage you to roll forward. Imagine you're leaning against an imaginary wall, so your shoulders are one on top of each other, both shoulder blades pressing against said wall. Your other option was for strength, in which case from your foundation, you're going to lift up and hover your forearm off your thigh. Or if you want another layer, reach forward and ahead. Keep breathing. Wherever you are, let's take one more breath. Good, well done. If your hand isn't already on the mat, lower down now. Place both palms on the ground, frame your foot, and pivot on your back toes. And step back for plank. Knees or toes, and now the option to pause halfway where your elbows brush your ribs. Then flip the toes, lift, look ahead, breathe in. This is upward facing dog, knees and hips off the ground. From here you can breathe out, lower back to the floor. Remember you've got tabletop or plank to come back up. Or pike your hips from downward facing dog. Flip your toes when you're ready. Lower your heels and catch your breath. Downward facing dog. All right, one final round. Left leg, sweep it up and back. Bend the left knee, bring the heel towards your hips. Lift your left knee high. Anchor your right heel, left shoulder towards right toes. Bring your knee to your nose. Look forward. Step between your hands. Allow the hips that moment to lower. Look ahead of you, breathe in and lift. High lunge. Good, let's break it down again. Back heel lowers. Warrior one. Turn to the side, open up. Warrior two. Reach forward, breathe in, flip your left palm. Left hand lowers, right hand lowers, left hand lifts. Reverse warrior. Side body stretch, still breathing. Let's come back up. Warrior two. Keeping the left palm up, you're going to take the forearm to your knee as your right arm reaches up into extended side angle. Watch again, you're not dropping into the shoulder. Make it a deliberate, purposeful pose. Strong reach on your right side, supporting with a strong body on the left. Same choices, you can stay here, working on your extended side angle. You can lower your left hand to the mat without falling over. Deepening the bend in your front knee, allowing the hips to lower, taking a longer reach with your right hand. Or if you've got strength as your option, remember if you're repeating one side, try and do it on the other. Hover your forearm off your leg, keep breathing. Or that extra layer, extend the bottom arm. Wherever you are, we're here for another breath. And if your hand's not already on the floor, lower it down now. Pivot on your back toes, square your shoulders. Frame your foot. Step back into plank. Knees or toes with the option to pause in chaturanga. And then lift. Breathe in. Upward facing dog. Done. So again, lower down, breathe out. Come through tabletop or plank. Or pike your hips up and back. Roll over the toes. Send your heels low and breathe. Staying here for 3 breaths together, either holding downward facing dog with stillness or taking movement. Inhale and lift. Exhale and push back. 2 more times. Big breath in and out. Last time. Inhale and out. Good, well done. Let's sink the knees down, send them wide. Roll over your toes, push your hips back. Soften the body and rest. Child's pose. Now I'll take this moment to allow your heart rate to slow. Maybe it's a good chance to have yourself a sip of water. Catching your breath, and then we move on to the second half of our flow. So again, whenever you need pauses, little breaks, take them. Hopefully now we've generated a bit of heat within the body, so we're better prepared for the strength and stretching sections to come next. We'll make our way into a forward fold first. So, one more time, downward facing dog, hips high, heels low, hands ahead of you. And you can walk, step or hop your feet hip distance apart near your hands. So, let's get there. Forward fold, sees your upper body hanging loose. If your fingertips don't touch the ground, it's okay. Maybe you hold onto your elbows. Take a little rock, side to side, encouraging softness and heaviness through the shoulders. Dropping the head, looking between the knees. And then just check that you're not pressing back on your knee joint. We want a tiny bit of tension so you can pick up your kneecaps, keep the front of the thighs tight while the back of the thighs stretch. And if you need that knee bend, just allow the body to sink a little bit lower so you're still stretching through the back of the thighs, maybe a bit around the hips, maybe a bit around the lower back. Forward fold. Next breath in, we're going to energize the muscles ever so slightly in a halfway lift. So you're going to come to a flattened back position. So lift up, breathe in, and maybe it's here. Maybe you're lightly resting your hands on your shins. Or maybe you come up a little higher so that you're in a horizontal position. Resist the temptation to look up. Look straight down near your toes so you lengthen the back of the neck. And then tuck your elbows to allow you to firm your shoulder blades onto your back, so you're not inadvertently rounding your shoulders. A little bit of a draw in and up through the belly button, lower back firm and flat. So you should feel now a bit more tension through the thighs, the hips, and a little bit around your midsection as well. Let's sit back into our heels, dropping the hips, bending the knees, and then look up, reach up into chair pose. So the weight is through your heels, you're light on your toes, looking ahead of you, lifting your arms to a position of comfort, just watching that you don't end up sinking into your lower back. Next time you breathe out, lower the hands down, straighten the legs, lift the hips, and we're back in forward fold. And you might notice when you revisit poses that sometimes you can come a little bit lower, just once the muscles are becoming a little bit more familiar with what you're asking of them. If that's not the case, don't worry. No, don't panic, you're not doing anything wrong. Let's go again for a halfway lift, flat back position. So breathe in, rise up, firm your shoulder blades onto your back, lengthen the back of the neck, draw the lower ribs in, and tuck your elbows. Feel the extra energy through the legs, through the core and the hips. And then we'll pull back into our heels, reaching behind you for balance. Look up, reach up, chair pose. Feel the strength now in your legs. So depending on the shoulders, maybe you're reaching ahead or reaching up. Just watch that reaching up doesn't end up taking your hips behind you as well. Now for a slow count of 5, we're going to come up to standing. So take your time, lift with me. 5, 4, reaching up. 3, legs start to extend. 2, and 1, take a big breath, reach. Exhale, rain the fingertips down. Turn your palms forward, little fingers in towards your thighs. Squeeze left to right, front to back, and top to bottom. Standing tall in mountain pose. Good, well done. Hopefully, this is letting you feel really grounded, strong and stable, ready for the balance section for this flow. So we're going to use movement in the right leg first, taking our left leg as our base leg. So if you want to take a little look down, lift your left toes, send them wide, spread them, root them down into the ground, and start to soften your left knee. So you should find now your weight starting to shift towards your left leg. Your hands can stay by your sides, or on your hips is really useful to act as a spirit level. Find a point of focus, lift up tall, and start to lift your right knee up ahead of you. Right high knee, about a 90-degree bend. And with control, you're going to start to look forward, lean forward, and extend your right leg behind you. So tilting at the hips, extend the right leg. Here's where the hands act as a spirit level. This is Warrior 3. So we're aiming for a capital T, horizontal body position. If that's not achievable, you might be here, that's absolutely fine. You might even feel more comfortable having your toes on the ground and just working to lower the body. So whichever variation works for you. Balance is tricky enough at the best of times. So again, extend the back of the neck, reach through the toes, long flat back, toe tap down at any point that you need to. Keep breathing, and then slowly return to standing. Bring your right leg underneath you. Lift the knee again if you can. Toe tap down if you need. Stand tall, and then set the right foot down. Good, well done. Work through any areas that you have tension, maybe in your standing leg. Sometimes the foot and the ankle can get a little bit tight. Maybe it's in the hip of the leg that you have lifted. Let's do the same, this time using our right leg as our stable base, movement in the left leg. So think again about rooting down, lift your right toes, spread them wide, anchor into the ground, soften the right knee, and then come up lightly onto your left toes. Hands can either stay by your side, or, like I said before, on your hips is useful to act as a spirit level, just to watch that you're not letting your hips shift out. All right, standing tall, lift your left leg when you're ready, 90-degree bend, or as high as you comfortably can, finding that point of focus, something to look at that's not moving, and then slowly start to tilt the upper body forward and down as you extend your left leg behind you. So take your time as you transition. A little bit of softness in the right knee, looking for that horizontal position or whatever feels comfortable for you. Now I'm going to hold the windowsill so I can show you here really quickly. There will be a temptation to roll out and lift your left hip higher because it might allow you to come a little bit flatter. So with the hands on the hips, what you want to aim for is that your left hand and right hand are level, and you're rolling your left hip or wrapping your left hip down. It'll be a little bit more work required, a little bit stronger. So just check that you can get that stability as well as the firmness and flatness. Warrior 3 here in our capital T shape. Still breathing. And then slowly and steadily come up to standing. Pivoting at the hips. When you're ready, left knee starts to lift. High knee position. Pause, catch your breath. And slowly step it down. Good, well done. Again, walk out, bring any tension or movement to areas you feel tension. As I said, again, it could well be in the standing leg. Okay, let's find mountain pose again. This time with your feet together. Lift up, look up. Palms forward, little fingers squeezing in towards your side. Again, squeeze front to back, slight tuck of the tailbone. Draw your ankles and your knees together. Pushing the ground away as you extend the top of the head. We're going to tuck chin to chest and roll the way all the way down to a forward fold. So roll it down, roll it down. You can slide your hands down your thighs if you wish. Soften the knees at any point that you need to and reach the hands down. Now something to maybe observe is that the first time we were in forward fold, we had our feet about hip distance apart. So if it's not as comfortable to reach lower in a narrow stance, that's absolutely normal because we've given the hips a little bit less space. So sometimes they can feel a little bit tighter. So if you're thinking, why can't I get to the same level? Don't worry, you've changed your position. So take away that expectation and just enjoy the stretch that this is giving you. Bend the knees now so that you can comfortably place your hands flat on the ground underneath your shoulders. And then you can walk, step or hop back to plank. If you're hopping, generous bend, pop back, high up through the shoulders, high up on the toes, push back on the heels, engage the core. Now if you're stepping back, of course you're going to take a little longer, that's okay. Now we're going to take a slow count of 5 to lower from plank all the way down to the ground. You with me? Here we go. Tuck your elbows, bend them. Here we are. 5, lower 4, 3, halfway, 2, 1, and down. Release. Toes soft. Make a pillow for your head. Bring your arms forward. And we're going to rock gently side to side with the hips. Bring out any tension for your lower back. For a little bit of strength work in the back, and this will help when it comes to your kicking and your stability, you're going to slide your elbows underneath your shoulders. Forearms are parallel, and your fingertips are facing the front edge of the mat. So you might just need a little wriggle to bring the elbows underneath the shoulders. And the chin is parallel with the ground, maybe slightly lifted. Not cranked up. You can hear how it affects my voice. Allow yourself to still breathe naturally with a slight extension of the neck. For Sphinx pose, we're going to start with the feet. Point the toes. You might notice as you tighten your thighs, your kneecaps perhaps lift up off the ground. So we're thinking strong extended legs. Draw your hip bones in towards the ground. You'll notice your glutes fire up. And then as you push your elbows to the mat, you might rise up a little bit taller. Don't forget about the feet. Still pointing the toes, still engaging the thighs. And lastly, imagine you're going to slide your elbows behind you. Fire up the muscles in the back. Now you'll notice how many muscles are working. Core, legs, shoulders. And we're still breathing, right? Gently release it here. Take your elbows wide, lower the chest, and when you feel tension release from the torso, rock again side to side. Catch your breath. Well done. Now for another back exercise, I'll give you a slightly different pose, a different variation. But if Sphinx pose, that last one, was working for you, repeat that one. Otherwise, your option is to lower your forehead to the mat, extend your arms behind you, palms down, so you're in this long position. But we start again with the toes. Point them, extending them away from you. Tighten the calves, tighten the thighs, tuck the tailbone so the glutes are engaged. Then as you breathe in, using the strength in your back, lift head, neck and shoulders. You might need to walk your fingertips behind you. And again, the chin parallel with the ground, or now maybe slightly lower so the back of the neck is long. Resist the temptation to crane your neck up. You can stay in this position. You'll already notice the muscles in the back working. Or perhaps you add the option to float your feet up off the mat. Another variation is to lift your arms. So you need a slight surrender of the shoulders and think about growing long as well as lifting up. Keep breathing. Replace any parts of you onto the ground as you need to, so the hands can come down when you need, the feet can come down when you need. Keep breathing. You've got the option even to interlace the knuckles behind your thighs, reaching them towards your feet. You might get a little bit of extra lift. When you're ready, release the hands, come down to the mat, soften your legs, release the chest and shoulders, make a pillow again for the arms, and rock your hips side to side. Good, well done. Place your hands flat on the ground now. Come into a kneeling position. You're going to tuck chin to chest and bring the crown of your head onto your mat. Reaching towards your feet and then lift up off your thighs, drawing the spine towards the ceiling, and this should hopefully give you a nice counter stretch after Sphinx pose, and that other one was locust pose. So lift your back towards the ceiling. And then breathe out, slowly release. Hands on the knees, rise back up. Well done. Position yourself into the center of the mat just in case you moved around a little bit. Got a bit of work through the front section now, into our core. Having worked the back and then some work for the glutes too. Then we'll slow things down, a couple of twists, and we'll make our way into relaxation. So, slide your fingertips lightly behind your knees. Have a little wriggle so that your sit bones are firmly grounded. Sit up tall, lift your collarbone. Take a slight lean back. You should notice your heels peel up off the ground and your toes are lifted. So you can then lightly lift up one foot so the shin comes parallel to the ground. Bring it back down and swap. If you're feeling a little braver, start to swap at the same time. And if you're feeling super brave, you can lift both legs together. So here we are, boat pose. Now you can have a firm grip behind your legs or a light grip with just your fingertips, or perhaps you take the option to extend your palms up alongside your shins. Just check that you're not rounding your back and slouching, you're still sitting tall, almost as if you're looking up and over your toes. Broadening the collarbone, lifting the chest and breathing. We're going to work from high boat to low boat by opening up, extending your head behind you and your toes forward. So breathe in, lift. Breathe out, open. Breathe in, lift. And open. You're going to take one more. Breathe in, lift. And this time open all the way out. 5, 4, 3. It's okay if it shakes. 2, and 1. Release down to the mat. Good, well done. Take a little rock side to side. Bend your knees, walk your heels towards your hips. Tuck your tailbone and then firm your lower back onto the mat. Now your feet should be about hip distance apart and in a position where they're close enough to your hips that you can brush your heels. If they need to be a little further away, that's okay, but if you can walk them towards you, that's cool. Toes should be facing the front, and sometimes if you're not checking on the toes, they'll have a tendency to turn wide, but watch the knees will follow. So if you can, toes face forward towards the short edge of your mat. Palms are going to be on the ground now, flat with your fingertips extended towards your feet. So I was mentioning about tucking your tailbone, lower back flattening towards the mat. Now see, I'll move my hands out the way. If you can lift the hips and nothing else, so the lower back still stays on the ground. So curling your tailbone up, just the hips lift, gently release, lower down, and put my hands back in position. We'll go again, tuck the tailbone, curl, lift the hips, push into the heels, lift your lower back, start to use your hamstrings and glutes, mid-back, roll up over the ribs, and then lift into bridge pose. Now you saw I just took a little shrug, wriggle through the shoulders so that I could lift up using the backs of my arms and then pressing my forearms onto the mat. Lost for words. Also now, I'm just checking in that I'm not letting my knees drift out wide, a little inner thigh activation so that my knees are still in line with my hips and my knees. And then lastly, just tuck the tailbone again so you resist the temptation to lift through your ribs and you're aiming to lift from the hips. Slight lift through the chin too so that you can still breathe naturally. And then we'll slowly round the back and roll down. Upper back, over the backs of the ribs, mid-back, lower back, keep the tailbone tucked. Lastly, release, and down we go. Switch the knees gently side to side, bringing movement again into your lower back and hips. We're going to take another round, and I'm going to give you an added option once you're here. Reset your feet if you need to, hip distance apart, toes facing forward. We'll again firm the lower back, tuck the tailbone, then start to lift lower back, push into the heels, mid-back, squeeze hamstrings and glutes, rise up over the ribs, and lift. Take the wriggle through the shoulders if you need to, extending the chin towards the ceiling. Again, tuck the tailbone so you're lifting from the hips, not the ribs, and here's your option. Stay here, or take another wriggle through the shoulders so you can bring your hands together underneath your hips. Now with long arms, I'm pressing my knuckles towards my feet. This will lift the chest a little higher,
but it might be a bit strong for a shoulder stretch. So if it doesn't feel comfortable, keep your palms by your side. Otherwise, lifting the chin, lift the chest, lift the hips, squeeze, inner thighs engaged, and then gently release the hands. Wriggle out the shoulders, roll slowly down, across the upper, mid, lower back and hips, and then windscreen wipe again, the knees side to side. Let's release the tension through the torso, lower back and hips. Good. Curl up your knees towards your chest now. You can place your hands on the tops of the shins, lift head, neck and shoulders, look towards the knees. Keep the knees where they are, breathe out, release back down. Now I'm going to encourage you to take your knees wide and then lift your feet towards the ceiling. You can either have your hands on the back of the knees or reach up the calves. Maybe you can even reach up towards the feet. But to get there, you will probably need to widen your knees to allow you enough space to be able to place your hands on your feet. This is happy baby pose. So opening up the hips, you can stay perfectly still if you wish. You can rock gently side to side if that's your thing. Maybe you want a little bit of hamstring stretch work. You can extend one leg as you pull the other one towards you and swap it round. So you've got a little bit of free play, a little bit of movement, or staying still if that's your thing. Bring the knees up back over the chest, release your feet, and we're going to take a slow tilt across to the left-hand side. So use your left hand to lightly support the lowering of your legs. Let your shoulders initially move with you, and when your knees are grounded, reach open with the right hand and see if it's comfortable to ground your shoulders. So the focus for our double twist is that the knees are comfortable first, then the hips follow, and then we open up with the shoulder. I like to think about twists as wringing out and releasing tension in the torso, as if it's a wet cloth. Use your hands to guide your knees back up over your chest, and then we'll roll the other way. So support your knees, gently guide them over with the right side. Let the shoulder come up, the knees find the ground, the hips stack, and then we'll open up with the left-hand side. Long reach, relax the shoulder. You can start to consider closing your eyes now as you enjoy your twist. Take the depth of the twist that it still allows you to breathe. It should be reasonably relaxing. So we're thinking about wrapping up our practice. Bring the knees when you're ready back up over the chest. Lift again as you squeeze, look towards your knees, and slowly lower. Place your feet on the ground, and then as you windscreen wipe your knees again, slowly left to right, wriggle your toes so that you walk your legs away from you. So eventually, over time, your legs become straighter. The rocking of the knees becomes a little bit less, until you're fully extended. Take a little wriggle, make space for the shoulders, make space for the hips, and release your arms. Feel everything melting down towards the mat, into the ground, as you let go of your practice. Feeling the tension drip away as the ground supports you. Again, you can close your eyes, lower your gaze, or maybe you pop a sleeve or a towel across the top half of your face. Coming back into your breathing, notice the rise and fall of your chest. Another chance for you to indulge in maybe a reading, a bit of guided meditation. I'll do some breath work with you today. So first, without changing anything, count how many breaths you take for your inhale. Don't change anything, just observe, just count. Your exhale will probably be a similar duration. And now I want you to deepen your inhale. Same amount of time, but deeper. And then slow your exhale. Bigger breath in. Slower breath out. Good. One more time. fall back into your own natural rhythm. Do a quick scan top to toe, checking in with all sections of your body, seeing if anything feels different from the start of the practice. Maybe you feel a little bit more energetic. Maybe you feel as if stagnant energy has been shifted, or maybe you feel more relaxed. And if it's none of those, that's absolutely fine as well. And before we drift off entirely, let's bring movement back into toes and fingers. Squeeze or stretch. Same thing for the rest of the body. You can take a full body stretch and reach, or curl up into a tight ball. And in your own time, either by rolling onto your side or gently rocking forwards and backwards, you're going to make your way up to sitting. Similar to where we started the practice, a easy cross-legged seat, but it doesn't matter which leg you have over the other, just go with whatever comes first. Anything that allows you to ground down and still sit tall and lift up. Good. Finishing off the practice, we'll take a wide reach with the hands. Breathe in, reach up. Connect your palms. Breathe out, lower down. Pause in the center of the chest. I'm going to take a lean forward so that I can say a big thank you from me to you for your company and for your efforts. Give yourself a big thank you as well. I hope you've enjoyed the practice.